Apollo moon landings, the greatest achievement that man has ever accomplished, traveling to another celestial body, landing on the surface, leaving boot prints in the lunar dust. And we have the images of Apollo, the videos and photographs taken on the moon itself, as proof of this amazing, improbable feat. But is there hidden evidence that the portraits of Apollo are not what they appear to be? And is that evidence hidden in plain sight? How many times have we gazed upon these Apollo images? How many times have we marveled at the wonderful ballet of the Apollo astronauts as they danced upon the stark beauty of the lunar landscape? But have we been watching the Apollo cinema with our eyes wide shut? Is there something obvious here that provides strong evidence that the Apollo recordings are not as portrayed? Well, nothing is ever obvious until someone points it out as being obvious. And I intend to point out the obvious about these Apollo images. Now, what does the side view mirrors on your car have to do with this? I think we are all familiar with the warning printed on our side view mirrors. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. Now, what does that mean exactly? If the object is closer than it appears, then that means it is farther away than it really is, appears farther away. And that is because the mirror makes the image smaller than it really is. And therefore, the image appears farther away. But it is actually closer than it appears, as the warning states. The advantage to making things appear smaller is that you get to see more area in the mirror. You get a wider view of what is behind you. It is good to know that this truck is behind you, but it's important to remember that it is closer than it appears. The reason that these mirrors make things look smaller is because they are what is known as convex mirrors. Convex mirrors bulge outward like the surface of a ball. As we see in these mirror balls here. And we see in this simple diagram the yellow light rays reflecting off the convex surface in a divergent pattern. The yellow rays come in and hit the convex mirror and bounce off as the orange reflected rays. If you follow the orange reflected rays back into the mirror, you can actually reconstruct the image. Here's another example, light reflecting off a convex mirror. Bear with me here because I'm going to talk a little about physics. This diagram is what is known as a ray diagram. Scientists and engineers use diagrams such as this to understand how light will act as it reflects off mirrors or passes through lenses. This is a simple diagram of light reflecting off of a convex mirror. The light rays hit the mirror and reflect off. This O for object. This is the object in front of the mirror. I for image. The image in the mirror. Now we see the top of the arrow here, this red ray of light. This ray of light hits the mirror and bounces up. Another ray of light, depicted by green, hits the ray and bounces straight back, hits the mirror. Another ray of light, blue, hits the mirror and reflects off parallel. If we follow the red, green, and blue rays back into the mirror, we can reconstruct the image. Top of the arrow. Red, green, blue intersect right here. Now there are three things that we know about images in a convex mirror. And they are virtual, diminished, and upright. Now the only thing that's important here that I want you to know is that the image in a convex mirror is always smaller than the actual object. And that's what we mean by diminished. It's smaller. Now, the image is always upright. That's important because in certain situations, with certain kinds of mirrors or lenses, the image can be inverted or upside down. Also, the image is virtual. And what this means is that you have two types of images, virtual or real. And it's virtual because the focal point of the mirror and the center of curvature of the mirror don't really exist except in the mirror itself. And as the light bounces off the mirror, it can't be focused on a screen. So in a sense, the image doesn't really exist. It's not really real, it's virtual. And you don't really need to know that, but if you're interested. But the only thing that's really important here is that the image is always smaller than the actual object. Okay, here's another example of a ray diagram. And very similar to the first one, we have the object and the rays hit the convex mirror and bounce off. Now, we have an equation here, 1 over the distance of the object plus 1 over the distance of the image equals 1 over the focal length. This is known as the Gaussian lens equation. It's named after Carl Friedrich Gauss, born in the 1700s. And if you really want to know something about the history of science, you should read about this great man, this great mathematician. But the only thing that's important here, once again, we see the image is smaller than the actual object. And that's the most important thing. And I think that about does it for physics here. Let's take a look at some real-world examples of convex mirrors. Now here we have a convex mirror in a corner up in the ceiling, and you can see that there's a large area here. Just by glancing up at this mirror, you can see the whole entrance to the building here. Here's a convex mirror up on a wall in a office. And by simply glancing up at the mirror, you can see the entrance to the office and a large area of the office. And here's a convex mirror up on a pole, so you can look around a corner or look at something here. Now this array here of convex mirrors, you see this in factories and warehouses and such, because forklift truck drivers can come down the aisle and just glance up and they can tell if anybody's around the corner, so they don't have to stop or slow down. Makes things much more efficient. Here's half of a convex mirror, and you can see the whole hallway here just by glancing up. And of course, convex mirrors make things smaller, so you see more area. Here's a convex mirror up on a ceiling. And you can see, I count at least 15 doors here. And by just glancing up at the ceiling, you can see this whole lounge area. Now, how would the sun appear in a convex mirror? The sun takes up a very small amount of the sky area, and we would expect it to be much smaller in a reflected image. Now here we have a football helmet, and this is the sun. And we see that it's just a small spot of light. Now another football helmet. This is the sun. Small spot of light. Another helmet, and this is the sun. Now, the star-like pattern that you see is caused by diffraction of the light in the camera aperture. And if you erase these points caused by the camera, it's just a small spot of light. This is the sun. And we see a nice star-like pattern here, once again caused by the camera. And if you erase those points, it's just a small spot of light. Now, this is supposed to be an authentic photograph of an astronaut in EVA in low Earth orbit. And if you see the sun in his helmet, on his visor, it's very small. Small image. Closer look. And we can see the star-like pattern caused by the camera, by diffraction. And it's very small. Erase those points and it's very small. The sun's image, very small. Now this is a very interesting photograph because we see this is an Apollo moon suit. And we can see the reflection of these ceiling lights in the visor. And look at how small they are compared to the actual size of the lights. So I want you to remember what you've seen here, because I'm going to show you some video clips of the Apollo missions. And I want you to look at the reflection of the sun in the astronauts' visors and see if it makes physical sense to you. Let's take a look at those video clips.
Okay, we tried that one. Okay, Jim, why don't you hop on? Yeah. If you can. Forget we're tilted backwards. Good.
Damn hard. Roger.
Roger. And Joe, in bag 2, I have the core stems and caps. Put bag 2 under my seat.
Okay, Jim, sounds good. Okay, Jim, sounds good. And the TV scenery for us is breathtaking. And the TV scenery for us is breathtaking.
Good. Can't be half as breathtaking as the real thing, though, Joe, I'll tell you. Wish we had time just to stand here and look. I'll tell you, you might take a look at the old lamb. She sure does a good job landing in this kind of terrain. Yeah. Okay, Tony, you want us to get we can get the dense rocks here for the padded bags. There's plenty of them around, but they'll probably be out of South Ray. All these blocks that we see here came out of this secondary. Yep. Every one.
Okay, we copy that. We'll collect the padded bag back near the rover. There's no point in going back up there.
Okay, well, that's what we're going to do. I just wondered if if secondary was okay for you.
Okay, we're getting them to work it. We will need a second pan in the area of the penetrations there.
I'll do that. Boy, isn't it loose? On your footing here, John? Feel like I'm really sinking in. Charlie, you really are. Oh, if this ever neat. Just figure out some way to keep my hands closed. Yeah. That's the hard part about it, isn't it? You know, John, that black stuff is glass on those rocks. Sure it is. That's what I said. Yeah.
Okay, fellas, we'd like you to get you packed up there. We'll save the padded bags for later.
Okay.
And your gyro is good. We won't need to torque it.
South Ray. I'm pleased with that.
Dirt's okay if you want to put it on there.
I'm moving on.
Okay.
Now, the thermal shield is on there, Bob. I got them all on there.
No, I was talking about if you want to put some dirt on there to hold it down, that's okay.
Stay away from the cables. Come on, the depression that's just to the north of me.
Roger, 17.
It's probably behind the rover. Okay, well, how's that for the core?
Stand by. Dino, can you give us a distance estimate to that? Does it look like it's 80 feet or so?
Yeah.
Okay, then that sounds good.
Oh, shucks. Hey, Bob, is there any way a level bubble can fail?
Hey, Jack, remember that's on top of those wobbly legs and or wobbly springs there, and with the thing not being straight, you shouldn't really expect the level bubble to be level after the thing's been deployed. That happened at the Cape a couple times, remember?
Yeah, but Bob, I blew this practically all the way down the full throw, and I like to skip along.
Not me, boy. Skip.
Or whatever you call it. I can't get my left leg in front of me.
it was almost dangerous. You lose sight of the fact that it's a vacuum out there, and if you spring a leak next to it, you're going to be dead.
Uh-oh.
Now the reflected image that we see here is too large to be this. And the reflected image we see here is too large to be this. I think that it is obvious that the reflected image we see here is not the sun. And thanks for watching.